Every household feels it, the rising cost of food, fuel, and everyday goods. But what determines why prices go up and why sometimes they don't? Today, we are unpacking inflation, how it works, why India struggled with it in the past, and how it has tamed inflation today, even through global shocks like COVID-19, wars, and trade tensions. Inflation is essentially the rate at which prices increase over time. If inflation is high, your money buys less. It is measured by the Consumer Price Index, a basket of goods representing costs for typical households. It rises when demand outpaces supply, or when the cost of producing goods goes up. Let's time travel back to around 2011-2014, the latter phase of the Congress-led UPA government. During this period, retail inflation was persistently high, often above 9 to 10% for long stretches. Official figures show inflation above 9% in 22 out of 28 months between 2012 and 2014, averaging around 8.1% for that era. High food and fuel prices put pressure on everyday budgets. In this phase, critics said policy responses were slower and sometimes too focused on populist schemes and subsidies without structural reforms, what some described as policy paralysis. As even global rating agencies later observed, inflation expectations during that decade were poorly anchored, making price stability elusive. Understanding this context is crucial because inflation affects real incomes, savings, and growth. A government that understands both the causes of inflation and how to address them can make a big difference in people's lives. Fast forward to 2025-26. India's inflation has moderated remarkably. As per the Economic Survey 2025 citing IMF records, India recorded an inflation rate of 2.8% and in some months even closer to 1.2%, including a low around 1.3% in late 2025. On average, over the last decade, inflation under the current government has been around 5%, well below the previous era's 8.1%. This is one of the key achievements even in turbulent global conditions. Now, a fair question many people ask. If inflation is low, why do prices still feel expensive? The answer is simple. Inflation does not mean prices go back to old levels. It means the speed of price rise has slowed. What we are experiencing today is the after effect of global shocks. COVID disruptions, the Ukraine war, energy and fertilizer price spikes, which permanently reset commodity prices worldwide. No major economy has returned to pre-2020 price levels. The real comparison is not with 2015, it is with what could have happened. While the US and Europe saw double-digit inflation peaks, India absorbed the shock better. Food subsidies, fertilizer support, import duty cuts, and buffer stock releases prevented runaway inflation. In short, prices were not frozen, but they were prevented from exploding. To understand why inflation behaves differently, we need to understand two broad categories of reforms. Supply-side measures. These increase the supply or availability of goods, pulling prices down. Demand-side measures. These manage demand in the economy. Both need to work in tandem. If you only reduce demand without fixing supply bottlenecks, prices can still rise because products are still scarce. So what did the government do on the supply side? GST integrated India into a single national market, cutting logistics bottlenecks and improving price transmission. Labor code reforms simplified compliance and reducing hidden inflation caused by regulatory friction. The Essential Commodities Act reform ended blanket stock limits, unlocking private investment in storage and stabilizing agricultural supply. Complementing this, the 1 lakh crore rupee Agriculture Infrastructure Fund strengthened cold chains, warehousing and farm logistics, directly reducing post-harvest losses and food price volatility. To counter global price shocks, the government cut import duties on essentials, including slashing crude edible oil duties to 10% in 2025 to cool cooking oil inflation. Buffer stock releases of onions and pulses, combined with dynamic export-import calibration, helped smooth supply swings during volatility. On manufacturing, Make in India and PLI schemes expanded domestic production in electronics, pharma, and renewables, reducing import dependence, a key weakness during UPA 2. FDI liberalization brought capital and technology into defense, railways, and insurance. Infrastructure reforms like PM Gati Shakti and the National Logistics Policy lowered transport costs, while digital systems such as Aadhaar, UPI, and GEM reduced leakage and improved market transparency. Food inflation, India's biggest CPI driver, has turned negative since mid-2025, driven by cold chain investment, Operation Greens, and data-driven market intervention. On the demand side, it was supported carefully, not recklessly. PM Kisan provided income support without distorting prices. PM Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana, covering 81 crore Indians, reduced open market food demand pressure. Ayushman Bharat lowered healthcare cost inflation. Financial inclusion through Jan Dhan and UPI formalized consumption without fueling speculative demand. Now, monetary coordination through RBI's inflation targeting framework kept expectations anchored. The result, India's inflation at 2.8% in 2025, among the lowest globally, showing that structural reform works better than short-term firefighting. So when we talk about inflation today, at historic lows, it is not by accident. It is a result of coordinated supply-side and demand-side policy responses, backed by structural reforms over the last decade. And even in a post-COVID world, with wars, supply disruptions, and global trade tensions, India has managed macro stability and growth simultaneously, something many economists worldwide are watching closely. That's the real economic story behind inflation that affects every Indian's life daily. So if you found this video insightful, do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, this is Richa Dwivedi signing off. Dhanyavad and Namaste.